The ASRS Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series has seen some great, intense, and thrilling moments already in the first 3 races. Tonight, it's race 4, and it's unique because the series comes to a racetrack that's the most unique oval in my opinion. This track is known as the Tricky Triangle. It has 3 different corners based off of legendary racetracks. It's the Pocono Raceway for the DMLC Racing Channel Pocono 150, live here on 3Y TV. Hello everybody, I'm Tanner Sharp, and besides me is Mr. Peter Short. Back in the production truck, pushing all the camera buttons, is Carlos Acosta. Peter, what makes Pocono Raceway so difficult for these drivers?
Well, man, I think you nailed it. Every corner here is different than one another. You got turn 1, which is modeled after Trenton Speedway. It's got 14 degrees of banking. Turn 2, it's modeled after Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a completely different track, and it has 9 degrees of banking. And turn 3, the very flat turn 3, at only 6 degrees of banking, modeled after the Milwaukee Mile. And all those corners being so different to these drivers makes for a very, very tricky setup. It seems like every time you come to Pocono Raceway, every setup is a balance of the different corners and how it's going to handle in one or another. So it makes for a handful for these drivers here tonight.
The unique design makes the setup of the car and the crew's ability to make chassis adjustments more crucial than any other racetrack. It is often difference between a winning performance and a poor performance. This track opened up back in 1971 and it hosts the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, the IndyCar Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series, and as well as the ARCA Series. And it has seen some great moments here at this racetrack, such as Dale Earnhardt and Jeremy Mayfield back in the year 2000 of the old bump and run from Mr. Big Old Big E, or from Jeremy Mayfield to Big E, and has seen some also exciting wrecks. But of course, we don't want to see that here tonight. We want to see each and every single driver that put on a great performance. Now, before we move on forward, since we talked to the racetrack, let's talk about the drivers here in the ASRS Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series. Will Worsler broke Jared Mongard's streak of winning races last week at Bristol Motor Speedway, and Will wasn't even one of the fastest drivers. I think he qualified second, but struggled during the race and still came out with a thrilling finish at Bristol. Over the point standings here, Jared Mogard still has the top spot with 113 points. Corey Silva has 101 points. He's only 12 points behind Jared. 3 top 5s and 3 top 10s for those top 2 drivers. Evan Black is third in points with 98 points. He's 15 points behind the race leader Mogard with 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. So far, those top 3 drivers in points are very competitive, as well as Mitchell Brown, who's finished three races in a row, top 10 finishes, with 4th in points with 89 points. Alan Young, who just gained 3 spots last week, is 5th in points, he's 33 points back. And Will Worsler gained a heavy ton of points after a couple dismal starts to the season, as he gained 9 spots, and he's currently 6th in the point standings. Danny Rogers is in 7th, Alexander Pelikans in 8th, 9th place Brad Cross, and Andy Veltman rounding out the top 10 in points. He's 51 points back. So it's still kind of a close race in the Cup Series here, Peter. And we have seen some competitive drivers. We've seen some drivers who are oh so fast, but have not been able to get the beginning, middle, and end of a race put together. And Will Worsler did just that last week. So I'm pretty sure drivers such as Brian Yazik started on the pole last week at Bristol and did not finish anywhere in the top 10, but hopefully he can get the job done tonight for sure. But Peter, Pocono, very different track, and I do believe this is the repaved Pocono. We're shifting tonight, I believe.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those tracks where if you get your RPMs down a little bit too much, you can definitely shift down into a 3rd gear, and that gets the RPMs up, gives you a good launch up off the corner, and it also can loosen up your car. If the car's a little bit tight, you can shift down and get those RPMs up, and it will help the car rotate. But like you were saying, this is a very tricky track. You look at those names that we were just talking about. Will Worsler. Will's down in the 14th position. Jared Mogard's also down around there. But we really see Evan Black up at the top currently, and he's got an absolute stellar lap. He's up at the top by about 1/10 of a second. So definitely keep an eye on that primetime driver here tonight. And his teammate right behind him in points, right in front of him in points, is Corey Silva. I think those 2 teammates will got to keep an eye out for them tonight.
What I've also been, really wondering, I shouldn't say wondering, but I've really noticed is drivers who started, if you're starting up towards the front, it's been very difficult for you to stay up towards the front. Qualifying trim and practice trim have always been different than race trim. You see some guys who start in the back are not very good in practice, not very good in qualification. But somehow, some way, during race trim, they find their way up towards the front. I do believe just because we're seeing good lap times, just because we're seeing lap times from good drivers right now, doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be up there during the race. But still, you still have to have a mistake-free race, and I think Will kind of put that together last week, trying to get the mistakes out of the way, and finally, eventually won the race. Now, since the drivers in the drivers meeting, first off, we 3Y TV would like to give thoughts and prayers to the MOSRN driver Zach Bozanic for his dad Tim, who passed away this past week. We would like to take a moment of silence here, since nobody's on the racetrack, in honor of Tim. Every single driver that is starting this race tonight at Pocono will be racing with heavy hearts and keeping the memory alive of Tim here, Bozanic, here tonight at Pocono.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate news to hear that Tim passed away. But I know that all these drivers will be out there thinking of him tonight, and really glad we are able to do that and get that out there for everyone watching. So now we set our eyes towards qualifying. We still got about 2 minutes left here in practice. But, we'll kind of go down that board up at the top. We do have Evan Black in that number 92 machine. Right behind him is Joe Burchett, who we've seen some good speed out of that 67 so far this year. And right behind him is the 35 of Kelsey Rogers, another person who seems like they've been fast every race that they've come to, but they have yet to get into victory lanes. Robbie Baskins is currently fourth on the table. He's just about a tenth and a half off the top. And then Andy Veltman in the number 97, a 52.192. Great lap for Andy Veltman in that number 97 machine. So that's your top five. Tyler Sauvel, Mitch Brown, Troy Haight, Sam Maxwell, and Jimmy McKee follow them. And pretty close midfield. I'm looking up at the top. We got some people that are all kind of within 0.2 of each other, and then it seems like there's a gap to the midfield, but everyone in the midfield are within about 0.2 of one another. So we got a big field here tonight. We're going to have 36 starters, and with everyone fairly close on pace, I'm expecting a really good race here.
Absolutely, and 60 laps here tonight at Pocono in a cup car, so it won't take very long to try to get there if we remain green here tonight. I do believe there's going to be a pit stop at some point, so you might have to make that pit stop here. I'm not sure what the fuel load here is. Trying to see if I can find that information. I'm sure I can find that out eventually here. But Evan Black, the only driver to hit a 51 in this during practice. Everybody else is 52, and the lap times are so close. And what that means, folks, is when lap times are so close, it just makes for more competitive racing. This is a fixed series, so every single driver is using the same setup that is given to him by iRacing, or if officials make a setup for this place. Everybody's driving the same thing, so which makes for close competitive racing. Just got to worry about the handling of the race car and just trying to keep it smooth out there. You don't have to go down pit road to make those adjustments or anything like that. But I think the only thing you can make is a brake bias, which you will be using here today at Pocono when you start getting into the corners. I think the money corner here at Pocono is going to be the tunnel turn 2, the Indianapolis part of the track. That's the money corner for me. If you really want to get a good launch on somebody down a little bit of a straightaway before you hit that final corner of turn 3. that's just kind of my opinion about it. But I think we have a big old heavy cloud cover, which is going to help drivers in qualification. It'll help cool down the racetrack just a little bit. And it's single car qualifying this week. I think they took a driver vote on that during the week. So it's single car qualifying.
Yeah, that's unlike something we've seen the past few weeks. We've seen some open qualifying, and that was fairly hectic at a track like Bristol Motor Speedway. But kind of one thing that open qualifying would give you at Pocono is it would give you the advantage of using the draft. Some of those lap times in practice, we saw some stratification in the field, and some of that might have just been some people just got a lot of draft on their lap. And some people might not have had that ability, but here in closed qualifying, only one car is on track at one time, so we don't have to worry about the draft, and it just comes down to driver's skill.
Right here, he's 188 at the start-finish line. This is Sam Maxwell in a Ford as he's heading down in turn number 1. We're talking 206 miles an hour, really getting on the binders, on the brake, right down to the yellow line. Just don't get below that apron. You get a good launch off. He's probably hitting 4th gear right here. Getting on that straightaway. When you're switching gears, you're able to downshift, but you're able to throw into the gas to create more speed. As they head down into turn 2, almost 200 miles an hour entering turn 2. As he comes off right next to the wall, it looked like he clipped the apron. He had to kind of burp it just a little bit. That might ruin the lap time. Probably just hit the entrance just wrong, just a little bit. Here you kind of right on the bottom. Now, during race trim, back on the old Pocono, Peter, drivers would use that middle lane in turn 3. Is that still going to be useful today?
It can be useful, depending on how these cars handle after a couple laps. If these cars start to get really loose down there on the bottom, you'll see people start to get to the outside of some of these drivers because it has a tendency to push coming off of turn number 3. And so if you can get to the outside of someone and stay there, you can usually make the pass if you keep your momentum up for the front straightaway, because there's such a long front straightaway here. It's important to keep your momentum up through turn 3.
My God, my goodness, Jiminy Crickets. Jared Mogard ran a 52.528 in practice, and in qualifying trim, he knocked off his practice time and ran the fastest time ever in this whole session tonight of practice and qualifying. He ran a 50.7 to where we seen earlier it was a 50.9. Mitch Brown with the 50.7 on top of the board, 50.754. That just means when I said about that cloud cover, that helped out with the extra grip. And I tell you what, when qualifying session started, the whole front straightaway was kind of completely dark with cloud cover.
Yeah, and I was watching an IndyCar fixed race yesterday where the guy who got the pole actually waited on pit road for the full 5 minutes of practice. And then with about 30 seconds left, maybe about a minute left, a cloud came over the track, and that's when he went out, and he turned a lap faster than everyone else by a considerable amount. So definitely these clouds here in iRacing with their dynamic weather plays a big effect, and it will be interesting to see how the strategy changes in qualifying as these drivers become more familiar with the effect of cloud cover. Because personally, I would have thought that you go out there, try and get your best lap as soon as possible, but I think patience might be important if the qualifying session begins in the sun, and as it progresses, if you get a cloud or something, it could definitely work to your advantage. Here you see Jonathan Holstein. He dives off into turn number 1, but the track now fully in the sun, so I think that's just going to work against the number 73 here.
And to prove what we're talking about, our theory here, it's not really a theory, but what we're talking about is correct, is on the left side of the screen, look at them lap times. In practice trim, only one guy was able to hit the 50s. And right now, I'm showing 5 guys already in the 50s. That's how much a difference that cloud cover really made for some of these drivers, and they really took advantage of that. So, and it's kind of funny, you just told that story about the IndyCar race. Somebody waited at the last second, wait for that cloud cover. But that's a funny story right there.
Yeah, so another thing I noticed is after the first few cars went by, I was a little bit concerned about Evan Black and Corey Silva because they were down around the 7th or 8th position after the first 10 or so cars, and now they're still in 6th and 7th position. and the sun's come back out, so I think definitely it does play an effect. Because here is Will Warshler. We've seen him be the pole man so far this season, already getting 2 poles at Atlanta and Kentucky, and he is well down. He's down in the 14th position here. I'll see if he's able to improve. Does not look like it, so that number 29 machine will be starting a little bit further back in the pack than he's used to.
For the first time this season, Will Warshler will be outside the top 2.
Yeah, he did. He started on the outside pole last week at Bristol Motor Speedway before he won that race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that number 29 machine, see if he'll be able to work his way up to the front throughout this race. We still got about 4 minutes left as I think some of the drivers might be waiting to see if another cloud comes out. Maybe some of those that still are on pit road. You have to take a time.
Well, eventually you're gonna have to get out there eventually, because you gotta remember, this is not IndyCar. IndyCar is so low to the ground, and that's why they're so fast too. And also, they don't have the weight like these cars. These cars are 3,400 pounds with high horsepower. But you know what? Yeah, I just got a notification from production truck. Yeah, let's throw in a driver up here. All right. So far we're talking to Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown, do you have a copy? Try one more time here. Mitch Brown, do you have a copy?
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry about that.
Hey, it's all right there, Mitch. But hey, so far, I should say, you're currently on the pole, man, and you totally knocked off your lap time in practice. Did them cloud covers really help you, or did you even notice, or you just went out there and just did a lap time like, holy cow?
Nope, the clouds helped me out 100%. That was all cloud right there.
Most definitely. But hey, are you feeling a little pressure going into this race? If you do start on the pole, you ran a 50.26 in practice, and then qualifying you knocked off a 57. What's your confidence level entering here today at Pocono?
I feel confident that we can at least get a top 5. Might be hard enough to get the win, but starting up on the pole is going to help us out for the race time. But we'll just get to see what happens and just take it lap by lap.
Absolutely. How much are you shifting here at Pocono? Because ever since the repaved Pocono came out on iRacing, it's been a shifty kind of racetrack, something you've never been able to do really on an oval, the way the gears are set up here. I know the old Pocono, we weren't doing that, as far as I know. But tonight, how much are you really shifting, and what corners, unless you don't want to give away secrets?
Well, we're shifting at least a couple times each lap. I really don't want to give away any secrets, but it's with the new track, with the new Pocono layout, you're definitely gonna have to really downshift because you're gonna need all that momentum to get off the corner. With old Pocono, you kind of could get away with it, if you didn't downshift for the first 5 or 10 laps. If you save those rear tires, it really helps you out in the long run. But here, you kind of just gotta go for it from the start and just hope to God your rear tires don't get up.
Yeah, this is going to be a very challenging track for you here tonight. You're going to be starting on the pole. Hopefully you're able to stay up towards the front where you can work with that clean air, because I think clean air is going to be a very positive thing, and the way your Cup car is going to handle here this evening. Well, so far you're currently on the pole right at the moment. I think I'll maybe give you an early congratulations for being on the pole this evening, and hope you can get up there and stay up there all day and win the race, bub.
Yeah.
What's that, production truck? Oh, what team are you on?
I'm on Dirty Bird Sim Racing. These guys bring out a fast car every week, and it's our first pole in the Cup Series. So hopefully we can end the race in a victory.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck out there, and keep her up towards the front there, Mitch.
Great, thanks, guys.
That was Mitch Brown, who's more than likely going to be sitting on the pole here, and Peter, I'm learning a lot already, even though I'm only in the booth here, and I have driven at this track before, just not ever in league race. I've just never had the opportunity yet, but I'm sure I will in the near future. You have driven on this unique Pocono track, I know that much. What's your strategy to stay up towards the front if you're Mitch Brown?
Well, if you're Mitch Brown, you just have to keep your car off the wall, because it can be pretty easy to clip the wall or go for a spin as you see Jason Stewart spinning into pit road. Got to keep your car clean. It can definitely, if you get some right front damage, if you clip the wall or something, it can adversely affect your car. So keeping clean is always priority number one here. Priority number two is keeping your tires underneath you. Definitely saving tires is a key thing here at Pocono because you can get some long green flag runs here. The track's so wide that quite often you end up with a long green flag run. I would say that fuel strategy is also an important key here at Pocono, but with the fuel tanks being so large, they're at the full capacity, and this race only being 60 laps, I only expect to see one pit stop here tonight. But those are some key things to think about if you want to end up in victory lane here at Pocono.
All right, they're getting lined up, ready to go on pit road in a very unique way here on iRacing. Mitch Brown on the pole this evening. Congratulations to Mitch. Hopefully you can keep that thing up there and work with that clean air. Jared Mogard, he has been fast all season long so far in the first 3 races. Just couldn't get done last week at Bristol with the thrilling finish there. Jared Mogard in second. Brandon Stokes is going to start in third. Joe Birch is going to start in the 4th spot. Tyler Sawville in 5th. Corey Silva, 2nd place in points. He's going to roll off in 6th. Evan Black, he's 3rd in points. He's going to be in 7th place. Robbie Baskins in the 8th place. Jimmy Mickey is going to be in 9th. And Tim Knott running off the top 10.
Jamie Moore is on the inside of row number 6, and alongside him is Alex Geese in that number 77 Trek machine. Then on row number 7, we have Brandon Krutz and Will Worsler, who did not get his 3rd pole of the season here tonight. On row number 8, we have Clarence Bonner and Troy Haight for Hater Racing. And on row number 9, we have Sam Maxwell, and that's Sam Maxwell Customs Ford. And alongside him is Kelsey Rogers. Row number 10, we have Alan Young and Richard Stallings.
In the blackjack position tonight, Kevin Sargent's 21st. Andy Veltman in 22nd. League organizer Jim Foose going to start in 23rd. Chris Titus in 24th. Jonathan Holstein in 25th. Last driver to take qualification time is Chris Forrester in 26th. Brad Cross in 27th. Michael Kroba for Bob Pedal Motorsports in 28th. Deep in the field for Michael. Danny Rogers in 29th. And Nick Coffman rounding out the top 30.
In 31st, we have the one car of Jason Stewart, followed by Jared Haggerty in the number 6. 33rd, we have Kevin Mingus, and alongside him, the 80 of Jack Wells. On the 18th row, we have Travis Rucker in the number 83, and Alexander Pelican in the number 16 Mobile. And then you have your last few drivers, one of which is Edward Bray. He'll be the last starter in the Harley-Davidson Chevrolet. We have 36 cars here. That will start tonight's race. And we do have a couple drivers who made it into the session here tonight, but they will not be starting because of our pre-qualifying session, which concluded about an hour ago.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. 36 drivers are going to be starting this field here tonight. That is the grid. Edward Bray, Christopher Lane, Richard Fletcher are the go-home drivers for this evening. All right, Pocono Raceway, unique racetrack. It's going to be really fun watching these guys go around this tricky triangle of joint. They're going through turn 3, and where's turn 4? What turn 4? Because there is no turn 4, but there is a pit road, and that's where the pace car is headed down. It's going to be Mitch Brown on the pole, leading the all 35 other drivers to the green, and we're racing at Pocono Raceway.
Yeah, Mitch Brown got an absolute fantastic start. He was able to jump away from Jared Mogard in that number 00, and he's now got Brandon Stokes to his inside, and you'll watch everyone draft their way down this front stretch off into turn number 1. And, you know, the one thing about turn 1 is right at the start of this race, you have a lot of grip in the car. You can almost flat-foot it into turn number 1. You have so much grip after getting down there, and now everyone starts to string out. They're still side-by-side a little bit further back in the pack.
That is that first side-by-side battle, and further back in the pack, 13th. That is Brandon Kurtz going around the number 40, or was that the 44 machine there of Tim Knott, 41 machine of Tim Knott. As they get through turn 2 unscathed, that is considered their tunnel turn. Back down in turn 3, Mitch Brown has the clean air. Right behind him is going to be the number Brandon Stokes of number 9 car as Mitch Brown leads the first lap.
Yeah, Jared Mogard did not get the best starts. He's already back to the 4th position, but we've seen him really come alive on some of these runs. The 9 car, Brandon Stokes kind of got up out of the groove, and he had to check up a little bit. He's going to lose some ground on Mitch Brown.
Just a little bit. Mitch Brown is loving that as you have who's right behind that in 4th place. That's Jared Mogard. Got to keep an eye on that 00 machine. 67, Joe Birch. I think his last name. I apologize if I have the name incorrect. But nonetheless, they start gaining a little momentum on Brandon Stokes. Jared's kind of just riding calmly in the 4th spot right now. Let's see where the first side-by-side battle is. That's going to be between the number 31 machine there. Of 31 machine, that's Jimmy McKee, yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy McKee. Oh, looks like we got some cars in the wall a little bit further back. Everyone keeps it going clean, but looks like a couple of drivers losing quite a bit of momentum down the front stretch, picking up some right front damage.
Well, what I was always told there, Peter, is if you hitting the wall coming off the corner and it's just you, and right here you see it on replay, that is the 25 machine.
That's Chris Titus in that maxed out Sim Racers machine, and definitely going to have to keep an eye on that right front damage on that machine, see if he can overcome that. And we're definitely seeing some comers and goers a little bit further back in the pack. Michael Krobach already up 5 positions, Jared Haggerty up 6 in that number 6 machine. So we saw him start well back in the field, already starting to make some headway forward. But it's a long race, and you can see the field is pretty spread out. Everyone trying to use that draft down the front straightaway, see if they can catch up to another car is a little bit further ahead. There is the number 46 machine of Robbie Baskins. He's got Brandon Krutz to his inside and the number 93. And now here comes, trying to make some advantage of that pass, is Jamie Moore in the number 82. He's going to move up, looks like, into the top 10 if he can make this pass on Robbie Baskins.
I don't know, that outside line coming off turn 2, it seemed like pretty phenomenal. There goes Robbie Baskins around the outside of Jamie Moore for position as to clinch a top 10 spot. Robbie actually started 8th. He fell back in the early portion of the race here, just in the first couple laps, as we do got a battle a little bit up towards the front. Number 92 of Evan Black trying to go for position.
Yeah, but look at Corey Silva. Corey Silva used the draft of Jared Mogard to suck up to the back of that number 00 machine and dives to the inside. We have a caution out in the raceway, just as the Corey Silva was able to make that pass. But here is Chris Forster in the number 14 machine. Looks definitely worse for wear.
Get it up on replay here. This is the 14 machine. Chris Forster just got loose, banged it hard into the outside wall, hit the barrels. Good thing those barrels don't come apart. They're glued into that wall.
Yeah, that was a hard hit for that number 14 machine. Very easy to do. You just get a little bit sideways, and you think that you can wheel it all the way up off the corner, get it going straight. But sometimes it's just a little bit too much. And
he was in 3rd gear,
smacked the wall. And
he was in 3rd gear there.
Yeah, definitely trying to get those RPMs up to get a little bit more power up off the corner. But like I said earlier, when you're in 3rd gear, it tends to loosen up the car quite a bit. So I think that's what happened to that number 14 machine, and he's taken it to pit road.
Is it sometime best to leave it in 4th gear if you're that loose when you downshift, because the way the tires are wearing out and the high horsepower race car, it just spins the rear tires?
Yeah, sometimes you definitely have to take that into consideration. I mean, depends on how you're driving the car, how your tires are holding up. If you're nice on your tires and they stay pretty grippy, then you can usually do it throughout the whole run. However, if you overheat your tires just one little bit, you might think twice about shifting into 3rd gear for a lap or two, see if you can cool down your rear tires, get them back underneath you. And sometimes it's a snowballing effect. If you do it a couple laps in a row, it could overheat your tires, and you could end up just like that.
All right, so pit road's going to be open for the first time today. It was open under the green flag conditions, but since this is our first caution in the first 5 laps, Mitch Brown might lead him down pit road. Now, if you're Mitch Brown, or if you're up towards the front here, Peter, and you just drove the first 5 laps, are you going to come down pit road?
Well, I'm seeing a decent amount of fall off on those lap times up near the front, so I wouldn't be at all surprised to see most of these people come down pit road. And here comes Mitch Brown. There was about a 6/10 of a second fall off over those first few laps, and at a track like Pocono, 6/10, it's a long lap. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a compounding thing. After about 5 laps, if someone is still 6/10 faster than you, there's a lot of space here at Pocono to make passes. So you really don't want to give up that advantage if you can help it with fresher tires. So we'll see everyone hit their marks. Mitch Brown overshot his pit stall just a little bit in that number 51 machine. So we'll have to see how that works out. Here comes the number 24, Alan Young. I think he missed his pit stall.
Joe Burchett undershot his pit stall, but here comes the number 94, Corey Silva. He will win the race off pit road. Mitch Brown in second, and third place, Brandon Stokes.
Yeah, great pit stop by that number 94 crew to take the lead away from 51. Glad that Mitch Brown, I'm sure he's happy to see that him overshooting his pit box just a little bit didn't hurt him all too much, but the 94 got a great launch out of his pit box to take take the lead of the race. At least he's the first one off pit road on 4 fresh tires. Alan Young assumes the race lead, but we'll have to see if he decides to come back down 4 tires. And here he comes. Looks like he's looking for his pit box and says, where is it? So we'll have to keep an eye on that Federated Auto Parts machine. I've done that before, done it multiple times. I've done it at an endurance race before. We were doing the Daytona 24 last year, and we had the very first pit stall on pit road, and it was an absolute pain to get into. I missed it, had to do a whole lap on about a half of a lap's worth of fuel because I missed my pit stall, and needless to say, that was a very excruciating lap. As we see Alan Young, he has decided to come back down pit road. We'll hopefully see if he gets his pit box this time. But definitely missing your pit stall, especially when you have this many drivers in the field, it can be very tricky, and especially when you don't often get to see your pit box before the start of the race. So he does make his pit stall. As you can see, that little dot down there on the bottom left of your screen, his crew is going to work.
Tell you what, Peter, I'm already jotting down some notes. You want to know what I wrote down 3 times? Don't pay attention where your pit box is. Pay attention where your pit box is. Pay attention where your pit box is, because tomorrow night I will be here at Pocono for the Impossible Racing League. Just trying to jot down some notes here, and also Corey Silva, who came in 4th and came out first. So that's a fantastic pit stop. I'm showing a 13.8 pit stop for Corey Silva. Either way, it was fast. So he's going to be your race leader, and we still did not get the 1-to-go signal just yet. I'm pretty sure right now, I'm also thinking it's going to be turned off this upcoming time by, so we'll have to pay attention for that. Also, Corey Silva had the fastest pit lane time from entrance to exit. So he was doing a phenomenal job as a driver on pit road for sure. So let's see what Corey Silva can do. He's 2nd place in points behind Jared Mogart, and keep an eye on Jared Mogart as well. He's fast. He's currently in 4th place. Evan Black is actually in 3rd place in the point standing. So we have the top 3 drivers in points all in the top 5 yet. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm looking back through the field, and Travis Rucker in that number 83 machine, he's got quite a bit of damage on that car. And I went back, watched the replay. He actually got involved in an accident in turn number 1 in the tunnel turn. Everyone was able to keep it going straight, but that number 83 machine, he's out of the picture right now. There he is. He's got a lot of damage on the front and rear ends of that number 83. It looks like he had to check up for someone in the tunnel turn and got into the back of them and had someone get into the back of him. So I'm sure that that crew is taking a little bit extra time to repair that damage in that Pulse Productions machine. A great looking 83 Chevrolet. Unfortunately, got some damage all over it.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Travis, because I'm sure, Peter, you've been in these situations before, to where people just have different braking zones getting into a corner. Some like to get in hard, some like kind of like back it off. But when you're back it off and you just get hit from behind, man, that's very unfortunate. It's just a racing ordeal. You can't really pinpoint a blame. It's just everybody has different preferences on where they get into the corner. And that, you said that happened in the tunnel turn. Well, the tunnel turn, yes, I did say at the top of the show it was a money corner to get a good run on somebody, but it can also lead to the most disastrous portion of the racetrack for these drivers. It's narrow. It's like Indianapolis. You really got to stick to the bottom groove as much as you can. Sometimes that outside lane can go, but and there it is right there on TV, and holy cow.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa. That was kind of cool. Man, oh man. I had no idea a production truck had that feature, but man, that was wild that we missed down in the tunnel turn. Yeah, that was intense wild. But nonetheless, we're going to get these cars roaring again because we did reach the 1-to-go signal. They are in turn 3. They are ready to go. Corey Silva, Mitch Brown, Brand Stokes, Jared Mogard, Evan Black, Tyler Sawville, Jimmy McKee, Brand Krutz, Robbie Baskins, Jamie Moore, Tim Knott. The top 11 cars. I overcounted there. But nonetheless, pace cars going in, and Corey Silva is going to get here as the second leader of the race, and we're racing at Pocono.
Looks like Mitch Brown didn't get a great start there in that number 51, and the 94 is going to clear him.
Yeah, Mitch Brown, man, this is the first time all race, even the first 10 laps. He's in this position. Now he's got to hold these guys off. Let's see how well that outside lane is on stickers. It's not going to happen because here comes the number 9 of Brand Stokes off of turn number 2. The first side-by-side battle is for third place. You have Jared Mogard, Evan Black, Mitch Brown, all under a blanket here. Let's see what Evan Black and that number 92 machine can do down in turn 2 of the tunnel turn. Still trying to stick with the 51 of Brown. Looks like it's not going to happen. Brown's got that run on corner exit as there now remains single file for the moment.
Yeah, your top 10 cars are all single file. Your first battle is a little bit further back. It is a battle for the 10th. That's Tim Knott going around the outside of Will Washer. Oh, Tim Knott just barely clipped the wall. This is a little bit ahead of these guys. You got Kelsey Rogers in that number 35 Big Wave Golden Ale machine. Looks like he's got some right side damage. You're right on board with Sam Maxwell, the Sam Maxwell Customs Ford. He's all the way down on the inside, and right in front of him is Joe Burchett in that 67. We saw that 67 well up front early on.
Jamie Moore got loose off of turn 1. I sorry to cut you off. I just seen that back end kick around. That allowed Kelsey Rogers to get a run off the high side there. And look at the braking point differences on Jamie Moore. He was early getting in and hard off. And number 77 is also loose off the corner exit of turn number 2. That's Alex Geese. And these guys are just getting loose after a lap on stickers.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, if you're starting to get loose now, you might think twice about shifting because it could just make things worse. And one thing I do want to touch on is Joe Burchett. He had a 52-second pit road time. So I'm assuming that number 67 machine, because he was up near the front, I'm assuming he missed his pit box or, oh man, just a little bit ahead of this. There you have Will Worcester. Looks like he had a little wiggle going off into turn number 1. Might have a little bit too much rear brake in that number 29 machine. Definitely have to keep an eye on that because now he's made those rear tires a little unhappy by sliding the car into turn number 1. So I'm sure he's thinking twice about shifting here through the tunnel turn as we look a little bit further ahead. There's Jimmy McKee in the 31 machine, and right behind him there's a side-by-side battle. Tyler Sawville in the number 11 FedEx. He's going to move up into the 8th position. It's getting around Robbie Baskins. So some good action here as everyone gets up off the corner. Looks like a little bit of contact a little bit further back with the wall. And oh, someone's spinning well back there. That's the 09. And the 09 has gone around. That's Kevin Sargent.
I bring him down pit road there.
Yeah, we're going to stay green because he spun right down pit road. Convenient that the pit road is right there because you can come down and get some of that damage repaired without having to hustle the car around the track. And oh man, that's a lot of damage on that number 09. He pummeled the wall off of turn number 4. It's a tough break for him.
And look at this. Man, that was Jared Haggerty.
Yeah, Haggerty all up over the back of Jamie Moore in the 82. And now kind of everyone's starting to stack up. That's one thing that you touched on it, that it is the money turn number 2, but if you have to back out of it a little bit, it can cause yourself to stack up, and it can also cause the field behind you to stack up if they have to check up for you. So that's something to keep an eye on, as Sam Maxwell now been passed by Andy Veltman in the number 97.
And these cats back here are just all over the place, man. 97 Veltman just drifted way up the hill out of the racing groove. Here comes Sam Maxwell towards the inside of that Corona machine back there off turn 1. They're side by side, and we got a caution.
Yeah, caution is out. We'll have to wait to see what this caution is for. Oh, Jim Foose, league owner number 42. He's gone around. He doesn't look like he's got much damage. He had some rear end damage earlier in the event. He got that, I think, on the first lap. Looks like
he got clipped from somebody. He may have help. I think he had help there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there was some help.
Back and look at that. Could be his teammate, maybe? Oh, no. Actually, I think he may have gotten help from the 28 machine there down on the entrance of turn 1. If I'm not mistaken, I think on entrance, the 28 kind of drifted up the hill just a little bit while the 42 was coming down. They met in the middle, and it clipped the 42.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I see it. One was kind of going up, one was coming down, and they just ended up in the same spot. And
Jack Wells, man, he unfortunately just missed that.
Yeah, Jim Foose did a great job of staying on top of that race car and driving it all the way till it was stopped. And there's not going to be much damage on that number 42 machine, so I'm sure Jim Foose is happy about that. But now we'll have to see everyone coming back down pit road, I would think. Get some fresh tires.
Oh, when Jim Foose went back down, that 17 car on the inside there just got clipped. It was a netcode clip.
Yeah, Richard Stallings.
Yeah, that was from the 17. That was a netcode.
Yeah, so hopefully that 17 is okay. We'll have to see if he's got any damage on that machine. But definitely, sometimes the netcode will come out and grab you. Usually when you least expect it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was in that same IndyCar race that I talked about earlier today. I saw someone, I would be absolutely fuming if I was this person. I saw someone had probably 1.5 car lengths between him and the other car, and he got clipped and got sent up into the wall. And I'm like, oh man, good old netcode. As everyone is now down on pit road, Corey Silva leading them all down. We'll have to see if Brandon Stokes can have another good stop, see if he's able to leapfrog the number 94, Corey Silva. And we'll also have to be keeping an eye on some of the people who missed their pit stalls first time around, like the number 51, Mitch Brown.
Seeing a couple guys stay out. I'm seeing Clarence Bonner and Michael Krobach staying out under this caution flag. Right now, all drivers around pit road getting 4 fresh tires. Left sides are going up. This is going to be a doozy coming off pit road. Corey Silva's the first one off. Is he going to beat the number 9 machine of Brand Stokes off? I don't think so. Brand Stokes beats Corey Silva.
Yep, great stop by that number 9 team to get him out front. And now we'll see Corey Silva back into the second position. So it'll be good action to see a new driver up front in Brandon Stokes. He got such a launch out of his pit box.
Right there, you see it on the replay. Stokes with a good good exit off pit road there without snaking at speed. Good job. And so far we see Clarence Bonner and Michael Krobach. Let's see if they make a pit stop here under this caution. I assume so because you know, the way the tires wear off here in Pocono, it's pretty intense, even though it's a repaved Pocono, but tires still do wear with the current tire model that we're currently on here on the Sim of iRacing.
Yeah, and the 28, Troy Haight, I think he took responsibility for that caution, and I think he will be starting at the end of the longest line here on this restart, so we'll have to see if that number 28 Hater Racing machine can work his way back up through the field. Of course, his teammate is the number 29, Will Warshler. Will has had a kind of a sluggish start to this race. He started in the 14th position, and that is about where he is now. He's in the 15th position, so keeping an eye on last week's winner, Will Warshler there. Right behind him is Andy Veltman in the number 97 Corona machine. I really like those colors on that car. Really nice balance.
Some really good paint schemes out here today, man. I'm seeing a ton of them. As I do see Clarence Bonner and Michael Krobach, they still elected to stay out. Bonner is going to get credited for leading this last lap under caution flag. We have I think it's a 2 to go right now, so keep an eye on the pace car as these guys pace around this 2.5-mile track of Pocono Raceway.
Yeah, the pace car here is pretty quick. He's pacing around here at about 75 miles an hour, so luckily he's going that fast. I've seen the pace car decide to go a little bit slower at some of the other big tracks, so the pace car driver hustling it around this tricky triangle. As you see up above from our blimp cam, all three corners just about in one shot. It really is a fun racetrack to race at, in my opinion, because it is so different. You don't go to many racetracks like this. It really, to me, is a break from the cookie cutter 1.5 miles to just come to a track that is different and have some really high speeds going off into the corner. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy racing at Pocono, and I relish every opportunity I get to come here. So hopefully these drivers in the field are much the same and enjoying tonight's race.
Many oval tracks in the NASCAR and iRacing circuit have its own character, and Pocono, I think, is the most unique out of all of them, in my opinion, just because how the three different corners are. You got turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3 off of legendary racetracks, especially tracks like the Milwaukee Mile and Trenton, where no racing exists here. Actually, Trenton doesn't even exist, I don't think, anymore. That's based off the New Jersey Fairgrounds, as we have the one go signal this time by. So take another trip around this joint here in Pocono and get back to green flag racing. It's going to be Clarence Bonner, Michael Krobach, who have stayed out under this caution. It's about 10 laps since they last seen pit road. That's including this caution flag here. So very interested to see how well they're going to hold up towards the front here. Is track position going to be the key, or is tires going to wipe them out?
Yeah, and one key talking point in the past week amongst these ASRS drivers has been wheel spin on restarts. We've seen it a couple times this year. We've seen it at Bristol and at Kentucky, and we now have a new restart rule where these drivers have to get to the blue cone on every track. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, the blue cone is the pit road blend line, and they have to get to that point, or else they can incur a further penalty if they cause a caution. So definitely, some thought has gone into wheel spin on restarts, because we saw it at Kentucky, we saw it at Bristol Motor Speedway, and so the league has taken some action to try and prevent that from happening. But we now see the 99 Clarence Bonner and Michael Krobach up there on some older tires where it's much easier to spin your tires. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out on this restart for.
All right, coming through turns 3, Clarence Bonner, Michael Krobach, old tires by about 9 to 10 laps. Brand Stokes beat Corey Silva off pit road. Let's see what these cats can do. Wheel spin's a big talk. Let's see how much big of a factor it is. We're back green flag racing. What a whale of a jump by Clarence Bonner and Michael Krobach. So far, Stokes is cleared. Let's see if they can take advantage of this and draft off one another. But turn 1 is going to be the biggest test of these tires as they head down right into it right now. Bonner, Krobach, Stokes. Let's see if Stokes can get a big old run. They're starting to climb that run. Here's the big old run off of turn number 1. Down the back straightaway, still single file. Stokes might duck out of line. He will. Caution is out though. Accident back straightaway.
Oh, big, huge accident on the backstretch. Cars absolutely everywhere. Will Worcester, last week's winner in that number 29 machine, one of those involved. Jason Stewart in the 1 is unfortunately smoking. Chris Titus involved as well. Oh, I couldn't quite see what happened, but definitely Will Worcester. Oh,
80, Jack Wells involved.
Yeah,
oh boy,
Sam Maxwell.
Jim Foose just squeaked by.
Sam Maxwell was involved as well, but doesn't look like Sam Maxwell got that much damage. We'll see what happened here on the replay. Looks like everything's fine here. Oh, looks like they just ran out of room. Maybe the 29 wasn't exactly sure that Sam Maxwell was there, but definitely everyone just kind of came together, and man, it was a logjam on the backstretch.
Boy. I'm just seeing here. I think Jim Foose just squeaked by. Do we have an onboard of him? Yeah.
To keep an eye on. Here we go. Here we
He
go on board.
He may have collected some damage in that. Look at that.
I
Everybody's spinning towards the inside.
I think he made it clean through, scot-free. Great avoidance there by Jim Foose. That'll get him back up to the 26th position.
You gotta remember, in years past, that back straightaway was all grass.
Yeah, we saw a couple drivers take quite a ride through that grass over the years, but they decided to pave it. And one of the things that I thought was interesting when they did pave it is they kept that inside wall so close to the track. And had that inside wall been a little bit further away, we might have seen as many cars with as much damage. But this is, I think, Chris Titus on board. And oh man, just nowhere to go with Jason Stewart hard in the inside wall there. The track can close that pretty quickly.
Man, oh man, yeah, we're still on replay here. Watch these drivers just read. This is Jack Wells. He got involved. Everything happened. Oh, he just T-boned Will Worsler. Everything happens so fast. You're going about 165 coming off that corner. At least 160.
Yeah, and the thing about the number 80 was it looked like he had a car in front of him, couldn't quite check up in time, and all of a sudden when that car moved, there was nowhere left to go, and Wills just hit the 29, and there you saw off the front of the nose of Sam Maxwell Customs, Sam Maxwell driven machine. And if you're new to iRacing, or even if you're not new to iRacing, definitely check out Sam Maxwell Customs online, because Googled some of their stuff. Some of the stuff that he makes is absolutely awesome, making some custom wheels. I was absolutely blown away when I first looked up what he did. If you are in the market for a high-end steering wheel, Sam Maxwell is your guy in that number 98 machine.
I have. I've looked it up. I was like, holy cow, this is like amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff. Absolutely. Definitely making those carbon fiber steering wheels for the sim racing world with screens on them and everything. It's just really cool what he does, but I'm sure he's hoping for a decent finish. It'll be interesting to see how much damage he got in that number 98 machine. He does have some left front damage, but hopefully he can overcome that. Here goes, so, and we changed the camera. Oh well. So you can't win them all. You can't win them all. And there is Will Worsler still on pit road in that number 20 machine. I'm sure they're trying to get as much damage fixed as possible.
Majority of the field has stayed out under this caution flag, with the exception of drivers who has damage or wasn't just involved in this accident. So we should see it's either going to be the 2 to green right here or the 1 to go signal. I'm hoping it's the 1 to go, since Pocono is such a big layout. It's 2.5 miles here, folks, at Pocono. Looking at pace car now. Are we 1 to go? And not yet.
Not yet.
No, we're not.
So definitely one thing that is, if you're one of these drivers that does have damage, one thing that is good about Pocono is the fact that the track is so big. So you can actually come back around and come back down pit road and get even more damage repaired than if you were at a smaller track like Bristol or Martinsville or something of the sort. So these drivers that just got off pit road fixing all their damage can now hustle back around the track to jump back down pit road, such as Will Worsler and Jack Wells, Chris Titus, Kevin Mingus, and company. But there is your pace car driver trying to hustle that Ford Mustang around the track. Unfortunately, only at 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a break for these guys who run up towards the front, such as Clarence Bonner and Michael Krobach, who have so far stayed out. But I tell you what, those cats behind, Stokes, Silva, Black, I mean, they're all trying to hunt down. And Stokes was actually going after Krobach on the back straightaway. Then a caution came out, and when the caution comes out, folks, it freezes the field, which means Stokes did not pass Krobach in time to get that position, so he still remains in third place. So they just kind of hope for the same restart that they did last restart between Bonner and Krobach. They really got to hope for a good restart here. If not, then they might be caught sleeping, and then these guys on fresher tires, and then the top two guys, they're going to take advantage of the situation. So gotta see what's going to happen here. We should see the 1-to-go signal this time by. That means pace car lights off will turn off, and it signifies these drivers that we're going green next time by.
Yeah, we're getting really close to the window where you'll be able to make it on one stop from here. I think you're maybe just now at that point where if this race was to go green, that you'll be able to make it without pitting again, because I'm looking at my fuel numbers and they're probably about 36 laps. So if I was some of the drivers a little bit further back in the pack, it might actually be a smart idea to come down and top off that lap. I didn't see anyone do so, but we'll now have to get back to green flag racing. But definitely something at this point in the race to start thinking about is fuel, because I think this is just about when that pit window opens.
I'm still going to bank on a caution here. I'm just going to kind of run my race right now. If I'm up towards the front, I'm going to run my race. I'm going to try to keep this thing clean. I don't have to go after the race lead just yet. I'm just going to, take it easy and just kind of keep my track position as much as I can and really bank on that yellow flag. But if we do have to pit for fuel here, I kind of want to take advantage of that situation just a little bit too, as much as I can, and kind of understand, okay, when am I going to go down pit road? How can I take advantage on these guys with stickers, and who's going to try to make it to the end if they dare to do so? We've seen it many times happen here on iRacing in a bunch of series and leagues. So there's a lot of unknown answers. We can give you those answers in probably about 15 laps from now to see what's going to happen should we stay green. But I'm still banking on a caution here. But nonetheless, Clarence Bonner is going to be your race leader. Michael Krobach, second. Brand Stokes is going to be in third. Fourth, Corey Silva. Fifth, Evan Black. In sixth, Mitch Brown. Brandon Kreutz is going to be in seventh. Jimmy McKee is going to be in eighth. Tim Knott, ninth. And rounding out the top 10, Kelsey Rogers.
I'm sure that Primetime Racing team, they're pretty excited. They got their drivers in the 4th, 5th, and the 7th position. So I'll have to keep an eye on those teammates as pace car is going to set to dive off here. And we're going to set back to green flag racing. The number 99 is hard on that loud pedal, and he is going to have a great jump over Michael Krobach. That 99 clears the number 72. And remember, those front two, they do have a few laps older tires. Here comes Brandon Stokes. He's charging up the inside, diving off into turn number 1. And Michael Krobach, I think he's going to have to check up on that high line. But I say that, he got a great run up off that corner, but I think Corey Silva thought about maybe trying to take it 3 wide there in that number 94. He's going to have to back out of it. Look at Brandon Stokes diving down. Yeah, Silva all over the back bumper. Contact there! And the number 9, Brandon Stokes.
Big accident.
Huge accident up near the front. They're still spinning. Car's still getting involved. Evan Black involved in that number 92. And Joe Burchett also, he's now smoking.
Oh man, here's really what happened. What I seen, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Peter. 94 gets into the corner, and the 94 Silva just launches into the throttle, thinking, okay, I can get to the throttle now. But the 9 car was yet to be in the throttle, made contact, got both cars loose. Silva's trying to save it, and all the drivers, such a narrow corner, everybody's just trying to get through.
Yeah, that kind of what it appears like to me as well. Looks like the 94 might have just tried to get back in the throttle just a little bit too soon and made a little bit of contact. And, oh man, there's some hard hits in that one. We're going to have to try and get a tally of how many cars were involved, because that wreck seemed to go on forever. There's Joe Burchett. I don't think he will be returning to the racetrack here tonight. The 51 of Mitch Brown, he was involved. He was your pole sitter. Unfortunately, he's going to be heavily damaged. The number 93 was involved.
A lot of great cars.
Yep, the Jared Haggerty in the 6 was involved in that one. I think he got into the 92 of Evan Black. Just a lot of really, really, really good cars involved in that one, all up near the front of the field. And if I was the 99 Clarence Bonner, I'd be glad I wasn't back there, because he's got that clean air and he was able to make it work. Looks like Andy Veltman might have got some rear end damage out of that one. A lot of these guys will be coming down pit road to try and get some of that damage repaired. There were some people in near the back of the pack who did a great job getting around that accident. One of which was Jared Mogard, although Mogard might have some right side damage in that number 00, but I think it looks okay. It's like he did a good job of woeing up and getting around that one.
Boy, what a playful hand for Clarence Bonner and Michael Crowby, because they got to actually pit with the field here, and they came in pit road 1-2. And now they are on pit road getting 4 fresh tires, so they will be able to stick up towards the front. Crowbach's already done, and he's away. Bonner is done. That's going to be a race off pit road. Bonner's going to get the win there. And here comes the 41 machine of Tim Knott, who's going to come third.
Yeah, definitely seeing some takers on pit road. Looks like a few people decided to stay out, one of which was Jared Mogard in that number 00, so maybe he's seen enough of being back in the field, because he was running in the 23rd position last time he was before that yellow. So in fact, it was kind of interesting to see Jared Mogard well down there in the field in that number 00, but now we'll have to keep an eye on whether or not he can stay up there near the front once we go back to green flag racing here at Pocono Raceway. Oh yeah, a lot of cars on pit road right now getting damage checks. I thought that last caution we had was a big one, but this one definitely took out some of your top contenders. As man, Jack Wells there in that 80 machine, he's still getting damage repaired from the last one. There's the 09. I think the 09 Kevin Sargent is 6 laps down. There's the number 25 machine, Chris Titus. He's on the lead lap, but getting a lot of damage repaired. Mitch Brown up there in 51, your pole sitter with heavy damage.
Seeing a couple drivers, quite a few drivers staying out here, Peter. I got Danny Rogers, Brad Cross, Jared Mogard, Alexander Pelican, Troy Haight, Will Worsler, the top 6 drivers currently right now that have stayed out. First driver on stickers is Clarence Bonner in 7th on back.
Yeah, we saw Will Worsler. He was involved in the previous caution before this one, so he's definitely trying to get some of that track position back by staying on track. And right in front of him is Troy Haight, his team owner. Maybe those two getting together and deciding to get some track position here. Tim Knott's kept that number 41 machine nice and clean. And, to be honest with you, that 41's had a lot of wrecks around it. So good job of Tim Knott to keep that 41 nice and clean. There's Michael Crowbach in the number 72. And, of course, that wreck just happened around him. I'm sure he might need a new pair of underwear. In fact, quite a few of these drivers probably need clean pairs of underwear after these first 27 laps here at the Pocono Raceway.
Yeah, the only one time I would ever need a clean pair of underwear is when I spill my drink in my car after a crazy near-miss accident or even during an accident. Because, folks, these drivers, I'm sure many of these drivers have their force feedback turned on. If they end up hitting a wall like that number 67 machine did in this previous wreck, that was number 67. Trying to figure out what driver that was. That was Joe Burchett. So you have that force feedback turned on. The wheel just jolts like crazy. And sometimes if you're not careful with that wheel, you can hurt your hand on them things too. I mean, I've done it before for sure. After a crazy incident or overall even a bump, such as tracks like Gateway. Gateway was a crazy race quite a few weeks ago that I was in a truck race. So crazy vicious hits here at Pocono today. Seen 2 wrecks in a row that's happened. Hopefully that amount gets decreased and these guys can see some green flag racing. I'm sure these guys want to see it. Sometimes just miscalculation when you're going to getting gas or getting on the brakes. I do believe we got the one to go signal this time by, but we should go ahead and maybe reset the field here. Brad Cross is currently your race leader. He stays out. Danny Rogers stays out. Jared Mogard stays out. Alexander Pelican, the top 4 drivers, stayed out. Will Worsler and Troy Haight, 5th and 6th, have fresher tires than those top 4 guys. But the real 4 fresh tire guys is 7th place. That is Clarence Bonner, Michael Crowbach, Tim Knott, and Jamie Moore rounding out the top 10. So a little bit of a mixed strategy on tires-wise up towards the front. So we'll have to see how this is going to play out on this restart. I think Danny Rogers, Brad Cross, Jared Mogart, Alexander Pelican realized that, hey, this strategy actually might work of what Bonner and Krobach just did. So we'll have to keep an eye on these cats to see what's all going to happen as they head down towards turn 1. Because you have to understand, with Bonner and Krobach, they didn't get a full green flag lap in after they stayed out. They made it all the way to turn 2, and that was it.
Yeah, they do have those fresher tires than the drivers in front of them. So, like you said, that is something to keep an eye on. If I'm one of these drivers a little bit further back in the pack, maybe I haven't got a great finish so far this season, and I have been blessed not to get any damage. This is going to be a great opportunity to get a good finish out of tonight's race, because there's a lot of vehicles in this one with some pretty significant damage, and definitely a couple drivers mid-pack that have yet to get any damage. So that'll be good. If I'm one of those drivers, I'll be counting my blessings and be very glad to not have any damage on that machine.
Quite a few of these drivers up towards the front here need points, and they're doing everything they can to get points. Just got a little ways to go yet. Pace car is going to be coming in. We're 2 laps away from that halfway point. But here comes Danny Rogers, your race leader in the number 02 machine, and he's off and away. We're back green flag racing at Pocono Raceway once again. Danny Rogers so far clears, but the first side-by-side battle as they go down towards turn number 1 is for second place. That's Mogart and Cross. Mogart's on the bottom, has yet to lead a lap today, but he's been fast all season long, won the first 2 races. As he's trying to hunt down the 02 of Danny Rogers, got a little bit of a run. Can he keep it up? Looks like it's not going to happen as they come off turn 1 down that back straightaway. Michael Krobach and Clarence Bonner working together, drafting, trying to get past Troy Haight for position as they head down in turn number 2. Krobach gets by Troy Haight. Troy Haight on older stickers cannot keep up with Krobach. Bonner, he's just trying to stay relaxed back there. As up towards the front here, you got Brad Cross. As for the lead, Jared Mogart, for the first time today, goes out towards the front. Brad Cross wants to try to take advantage of this situation as well, as Rogers remains on the high side of the racetrack. Mogart to the start-finish line, his first lap led of the season. He has led a lap in every single race so far. Meanwhile, Michael Krobach down that straightaway, man, he's really hunting down Cross and Pelican. Those cats are on older tires than what Krobach is, so Krobach could probably just take it easy, even though he's got the grip. Pelican's got some damage, trying to get the run on Pelican off of turn 1. And still trying to really get him, but usually sometimes you got to back out of it and kind of give him a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, and someone I'm keeping an eye on back there is Sam Maxwell. He just made a pass up into the top 10. We've seen him in that number 98 machine race with a whole bunch of damage so far this season, and it seems like whenever he gets damage, he actually gets faster. So I don't know what it is about that number 98 machine, but he always seems to work his way to the front. Oh, Clarence Bonner getting all the way down into the grass right in front of these 2 cats in that number 99 machine.
Oh, trouble! Pit road!
Car goes hard left.
77 machine.
Oh, Alex Geese in that 77, and that is a ton of damage in that 77. He went from a car that had absolutely no damage, and I think you'll see it here that he clips the wall just a little bit. Oh, gets those tire barriers.
Just pulled a Mark Martin from Michigan. I mean, except this was a tire barrier.
Yeah, and that number 77 had the whole back end ripped off of it. I'm sure that's a bit of a shame, as we have Travis Rucker in the 83 currently live. He's actually blown up as we watch this replay one more time. Ouch.
Oh, my goodness.
Just a hard hit. There is Travis Rucker. His engine has expired on that number 83 machine. He's been racing with damage for quite some time, and finally it has given up the ghost.
Boy, I tell you what here, sorry to interrupt, but there's cloud cover in turns 1 and 2. This is going to help if you got fresh stickers, such as like on Krobach's part. I'm going to see if you can get the run on Pelican here, because he's been trying to work on Pelican for the last couple laps now since the restart. Has not been able to do much. It looks like there's a pass back there. That Bonner trying to get underneath the number 28 of Troy Haight as they head down into the money corner of turn number 2. Ooh, Bonner blinking just a little bit there.
Yeah, and here goes Michael Krobach. He's made the move underneath the number 16 of Alexander Pelican. We've seen Pelican have some good runs here so far this season. Had a great run at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and backing that up with a currently being inside the top 5 here at Pocono Raceway. although he just lost out that 4th position to Michael Krobach. Krobach will then set his sights on Brad Cross in number 30. And I'm impressed with Brad Cross. We haven't really talked about him much so far this season in that Speed Energy Toyota. But he has put on a great show, kept that number 30 nice and clean here tonight. And he's one of those drivers who seems to perform better towards the end of the race. I would call him the finisher of sorts, as he seems like he always works his way up a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and ends up with a decent finish pretty much every week. He did lose some spots last week in points. It wasn't a very kind Bristol Motor Speedway to him, but at Kentucky and Atlanta we saw him almost in the top 10 at Kentucky and inside the top 10 in Atlanta. So we'll have to keep an eye on Brad Cross as you're watching the big scrum of cars mid-pack with that bright red nose Sam Maxwell Customs Ford. A little bit further back, here's Tim Knott and Troy Haight racing off into turn number 1. It's like Troy Haight might have just clipped the apron smidgen there going through turn number 1. Didn't seem to upset that number 28 at all. But Tim Knott now has Jonathan Holstein diving to his inside as we dive off into turn number 2. Tim Knott rolls out of it a little bit early, but that number 41 back in the gas hard much sooner than the 73. So Tim Knott will keep that the 9th position ahead of Jonathan Holstein.
Tell you what, this race seems, 3 wide action back here. Sam Maxwell. This is a hornet's nest, biggest hornet's nest back here. As they're going 3 wide again, the 35 machine back here. That's Kelsey Rogers going 3 wide. Jim Foose is on the bottom.
Yeah,
Maxwell's
we're 3 by 3 back there.
I was just about to say that this race has turned into a more relaxing race right now, these drivers. But it just seems like when you're in the back of the pack, these guys are just all over each other back here. Just right now, I'm seeing the top 12, 13 cars really taking it easy, while these guys in the back of the pack from 14th on back has really just been all over each other.
You saw right there in turn number 1, Jim Foose clipped that inside apron, and he wasn't able to get on the gas at all. And here comes Andy Veltman in that number 97 to take a position from Jim. I think Jim, just when he clipped that apron, could not get back to the gas, and now he is under attack by the 17 of Richard Stallings to his outside. Definitely Jim Foose. Oh, look at the 17 getting a little bit sideways coming off the corner. Probably shifting in that number 17 bright yellow and blue machine, but he had to check up a little bit, and that definitely cost him the run down the straightaway. This is the battle now just up
Alan
here
Young
for the 11th position. Alan Young is going to dive to the bottom and take that 11th position away from Robbie Baskins. And Robbie's been involved in a lot of side-by-side, and he says, hey, I want to be involved in some more, as he's dived back to the inside of the number 24 of Alan Young. We'll see who takes this spot as they dive off into turn number 2. Look at the 46. Robbie Baskins pushes up. There might have been a touch of contact there, and now there is some contact. Kelsey Rogers gets into the back of the 46, and look at the 82, Jamie Moore, taking advantage of that situation. As we have a replay, let's watch this. This might have been a slight bit of contact here, as the 46 just moved up the racetrack.
We're 3 wide.
As this same group of people are 3 wide right now, Jamie Moore jumps out of the gas, and now he's got Sam Maxwell to his outside as Kelsey Rogers diving to the inside of the 46. Yeah, this is a scrum right here. This is a scrum of cars, and they're all going after one another. I think we got a few with maybe a little bit of damage, which doesn't seem to be helping the situation, as there is the number 51, Mitch Brown. He is back on pit road. That number 51 did not sound good passing by our commentary
Robbie
box.
hit the wall. He's in trouble. Robbie's been pushing it really hard, and it's been leading into mistakes. Robbie Baskins in number 46 there. He just lost a spot to Kelsey. He pushed really bad, and now he's up to that back bumper of the Kelsey Rogers. Robbie's just, he's racing really hard, and while he's racing really hard, he's allowing a lot of mistakes to happen, and it's kind of being a little bit of a hornet's nest here for position. But I see Michael Krobach, he's caught Brad Cross here for position.
Yeah, there is Michael Krobach, that number 72, right behind Brad Cross, who's right behind Danny Rogers in that 02. So this is a 3-way fight now for the second position on the racetrack. Danny Rogers gets really loose. He just was out of the shot there. but Danny Rogers slid all the way through turn number 2, had to check up a little bit, and he's going to lose that position to Brad Cross. He was completely crossed up in that number 02 machine, and Brad Cross will say, hey, if you're going to get crossed up, I'll just come on by.
Oh, man. I tell you what, Rogers, yeah, he made a mistake. Getting it on entrance that allowed him to drift up the track like that. That cost him position, and right now he's going to be in trouble because he's going to have Krobach all over his back bumper.
Oh,
look at that.
Danny Rogers dived it off into turn number 1. I thought there was definitely going to be contact there, but man.
The tires do tell you if you're driving it in too hard. If you're going in the corner and you're drifting up the racetrack, you're driving into the corner too hard.
Yeah, you really want to be patient with these tires. Oh, Danny Rogers, he's in the wall now in turn number 2. And here comes Michael Krobach. Krobach's going to show his nose down there to the inside of the number 02 machine. But currently, Krobach's not quite able to get up to his back bumper. But he's going to get a good run out of turn number 3 in that number 72 machine. And we'll have to see if that damage on the 02 will affect his straight line pace. It doesn't look like it here, although Krobach's closing ever so slightly towards the end of the straight. He's not going to be able to make a move this time. There is the number 29, Will Worsler. He's hanging out, doing as much as he can with that damaged car. As Krobach's gotten underneath Danny Rogers, so Danny Rogers slipped up again in turn number 1. I think he might have some brake bias. His brake might be a little bit too far back in that number 02, and it seems like he's sliding his tires on entry. I wonder if it's just overheated those tires completely, and looks like he might be skating in that number 02. It looks like the number 16 of Alexander Pelican is also closing up now on the back of Danny Rogers. And look at Alexander Pelican. There he is in that number 60. Oh, man, Danny Rogers looks like he got completely sideways out of the corner as they're passing one of the slower lapped cars. In fact, that's the number 1 of Jason Stewart that they're going around. And Stewart well off the pace. He's many laps down. Good to see that number 1 machine back out on track. I did not expect to see that number 1 machine back out on track. I'm sure he's seen the accidents that have happened and thought, well, maybe I can pick up some extra spots. But man, look at these guys just fly right on past him. He's well off the pace as Alexander Pelican is kind of not gaining on the 02 currently. And here is Jim Foose.
This back of the pack racing has calmed down. During that whole time we were talking about Danny Rogers, Foose is actually battling with Tyler Sawville for the 17th position, and practically the only battle. This is on screen right now. There you got the 17 of Richard Stallings trying to get underneath the 11 there. But although we got really loose. Who is that?
That's the number 73, Jonathan Holstein. And we have a caution out on the raceway.
Was that for that blue car? That was when he got loose?
I think it was Chris Titus. I think he triggered the yellow flag. Not quite sure. I think that number 25 must have blown a motor or something.
Oh yeah,
he had been coasting. Yeah, he blew a motor down the back stretch, and he was trying to get that number 25 back to pit road, and unfortunately triggered the caution flag. And just as that caution flew, Alexander Pelican was on the inside of the number 02 machine, and it looked like that number 16 was going to make the pass in turn number 1, but the caution did come out. So he will be in the 5th position still. It definitely looked like Danny Rogers was struggling on those tires.
Yeah,
it seemed like the whole field was starting to swallow him up.
This is a big break for Danny Rogers. I mean, the caution was for... Oh, I'm getting a report that the caution was for Jonathan Holstein, but it didn't look like he was sideways enough for that caution. I think it was actually because that blown more, because the traffic was coming and he was so slow. And realistically, you have to be above a certain speed.
Yeah, but, and it could have just been the fact that Holstein got a little bit loose and got very close to the back end of the number 25.
And he was so slow in the
might have been
caution.
Yeah, it might have just been a proximity deal between those two cars and brought out the yellow. So we have 18 laps to go. I do expect to see everyone pretty much on pit road for the what could be the final pit stop of the race. Of course, everyone can make it from here on fuel. And I was just starting to think there, we saw the number 00 out there with a big lead. And I remember saying not too long ago that there might have been a possibility of going green and having to come down and get fuel, and maybe that playing into the hands of some drivers. But that has all gone away now, as everyone will come down and be good on fuel from here. So that takes fuel strategy out of the picture as the number 00, Jared Mogard, leads him down with the number 30, Brad Cross, right behind him in that number 30 machine. We'll have to see who can win the race off pit road. We've seen it a couple times tonight where the person who enters pit road as first doesn't come out as first place. And Brad Cross has overshot his pit stall in that number 30, so he had to back up just a smidgen. And, man, we got a wreck possibly on pit road. The number 29.
Oh, no.
Will Worsler.
Will Worsler.
And I don't know exactly what happened there.
Pit road issues all season, realistically, so far.
Yeah, it looks like Tim Knott got into his left rear quarter panel. And, they just came together. And looks like the number 00 is going to lead them off pit road. Michael Krobach will be the second man off pit road as that race up at front. But we'll have to see if we can get a replay on what happened on pit road between the number 29.
Pelican and Rogers, the top 5, coming off the pit road there. And here's a replay. Now, usually you're single file unless you're coming close. Oh, yeah. Tim Knott was just trying to... The problem is with this is that your pit boxes are so close together. And... you both got to try to get in there. So realistically, there's lack of communication between Worsler and Knott when it comes to their pit box because they're close by next to each other. So Tim Knott decided to pull out to see where it was, and he's probably, there's my box. I'm gonna try to get in there, and then Worsler just came across his nose. Yeah,
it looks like Tim Knott's pit box was a little bit further down from the 29s, down. And it just, the 29 just said, there's my box, and hard left, and there's a little bit of contact there.
Well, it looked like
that's really unfortunate.
It looked like Knott peeked out for whatever reason. Maybe he's trying to find his pit box, but I don't know. Usually at this point in the race, you would know where your pit box is.
Yeah, but it is one of those really long pit roads, though, so it can be somewhat deceiving here at a track like Pocono when the pit road is so long.
iRacing took away the lollipop guy.
Yeah, they did rip the lollipop guy.
Yeah, he got fired.
So sad. He got fired from every team, every driver. Obviously, people weren't a big fan of him because he's gone.
He was the biggest. I mean, that was my point in getting on pit road before I started using the third-party apps. Because whenever I use iRacing now, when I'm driving, I'm using third-party apps so I can understand where my pit box is. That way, I can stay single file on pit road until my box comes up.
Yeah, definitely. Some of those third-party apps are a big advantage for some of these drivers that get to use them. I know I use a third-party timing app, and getting to use some of the applications for iRacing just adds an extra element to the software. It can make it a little bit more realistic and definitely help out the drivers. It's helped me out more than once, and I'm sure it will continue to help me out as well as these drivers who are using them.
Coming down to 15 laps to go here. Once they reach the start-finish line, pace car lights are still on. Right now, race leader is Evan Black. He has stayed out so far under this yellow with some damage. Mogard is in second place after starting in second. Michael Krobach is in third, Cross fourth, and Alexander Pelican the top 5. I'm trying to see if Black is going to go down pit road this time because they are in turn 3. Let's see if Black is going to make the left-hander to the pits. I assume he would. That was a pretty decent... That was the longest green flag run of the night tonight.
Yeah, good thing about Evan Black is he was able to stay out and lead one lap, so that will get him a bonus point for leading a lap. And those bonus points can add up over the season, so definitely not something that if you have the opportunity presented before you to come down and lead a lap, it might be beneficial to just get that extra point because they do matter towards the end of the season, as we now have the one to go signal. Looks like we'll have a 14-lap shootout here at Pocono Raceway.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly. This is going to throw Jared Morgard as your race leader. Michael Krobach, second. Brad Cross, third. Fourth place, Alexander Pelican. Fifth place, Evan Black. Actually, he's on pit road, so fifth place is Danny Rogers. Sixth place, Kelsey Rogers. I don't know if there's any relation there, but Troy Haight is seventh. Eighth place is Clarence Bonner. Ninth place, Sam Maxwell. Rounding off the top 10, Alan Young, who actually had to get an EOL earlier in the race for missing a pit box. But we're back into the sun now. I think the shade is down in turns 1 as we're down the back straightaways. So this is going to set for some interesting racing if the clouds are still there by the time they come back. But Mogard won the first 2 races, almost won Bristol with a last lap pass from Will Worsler. Mogard trying to go for 3 of the 4 races this season.
Yeah, and to his outside is Michael Krobach. And Krobach's had a up-down season. He started the season with a great finish at Atlanta, getting a top 5, but backed that one up with a 29th place finish at Kentucky and a 19th place finish at Bristol. So I'm sure Michael Krobach is really hoping to come away from tonight's race with a good finish in that number 72, and I'm sure he's hoping he can do one spot better than where he is right now.
All right, turn 3, here we go. Jared Mogard is going to be your race leader, trying to go for 3 wins out of the 4 races that have been ran this season. Krobach searching for his first top 5 of the season. Let's see how this is going to play out. We're going to have 14 laps to go here at Pocono. Mogard with a great start here, and he's going to try to get himself in position for turn 1, followed by Krobach in the draft. Cross, Rogers. Hopefully Rogers can shake off the cobwebs and have a mistake-free race from here on out. So far, he's doing pretty good for a side-by-side battle. Alexander Pelican almost making contact with Troy Haight. That would be a battle for the top 5 spot. Here comes Kelsey Rogers underneath Troy Haight there. 4th position, Troy Haight. And we almost got 3 wide action. That's not 3 wide yet, but the number 98, Sam Maxwell in the top 10. Battling side by side there with the number 99. Clarence Bonner had to check up just a little bit. Here comes Tim Knott around the outside, along with Alan Young, closely follow behind.
Yeah, what a power move by Tim Knott. Just jumped up to the upper floor in turn number 2 and took that number 41 machine up into the top 10, getting around the number 98 of Sam Maxwell. And it looks like Maxwell's struggling a little bit for grip in that number 98 machine. It looks like he wiggled out of turn number 3, and that's going to open the door for Alan Young in that number 24. Move that 24 up into the top 10, and looks like everyone's starting to get single file, except for Tim Knott, not diving to the inside, going underneath the 99 of Clarence Bonner there in turn number 1. Great to see Tim Knott. He's kept that 41 machine nice and clean, and he's going to set his sights just in front of him on Troy Haight. Haight's running in the 7th position. So if Tim Knott can clear Clarence Bonner and get around Troy Haight, he would be in the 7th position. Meanwhile, up at the front, everyone's kind of got single file, and the number, man, I can't talk tonight. The number 00, Jared Mogard, he's got up to about a half-second lead over Michael Krobach, so you're not missing all too much up there. It's really all the racing is back in packs. Great action back there.
The whistles of the wind here in the Pocono Mountains are just getting louder and louder, and the reason why they're getting louder and louder is that we got 12 laps remaining here at Pocono. Almost contact right there on screen with Sam Maxwell right there. And I do believe that's Andy Veltman almost making contact down in turn 1 and 2. I tell you what, maybe the winner of this race here this evening is going to go elk hunting in the Pocono Mountains. Look at, oh man, big run from Krobach on the race leader. What's he going to do with it? Is he going to try to go side by side or kind of let him go? He's going to let him go for now. As they head down in turn 3, looked like Mogard kind of messed up just a little bit. And Krobach had this big old run coming after him. He's still keeping tabs with that 00 machine. And we might have a battle for the race lead. Let's see what Krobach does. Is he going to give him an extra push? No, he's going to go towards the inside. They got a lap car ahead, whatever the lap car's going to do. Hopefully he sees this racing going on behind him for the race lead. As they head down in turn 1, almost contact between Krobach and Mogard. They're still close together. Coming off turn number 1, Krobach cannot complete the pass, so he's going to have to settle in line and trying to find a new way to try to get around Mogard for a top spot.
Yeah, that was really close there in turn number 1. Krobach with that fantastic run.
That car might be in the way here.
Yep. now everyone's going to have to watch what the number 92 Evan Black is going to do, and looks like Jared Mogart's going to dive to the inside of that number 92 machine, and I think Michael Krobach might have been taken by surprise there with that 92 just kind of rolling over. It looks like he had to back out of it a little bit more than he'd wanted to, but definitely that last lap by Michael Krobach, he lost quite a decent amount of ground on Jared Mogart, about 0.3 of a second that last lap, and I'm sure Krobach will have to set his sights back on that number 00 and recompose himself.
That entrance to turn 3 with the lap car of Black there, that messed up Krobach's entrance. You'll catch a lap car at the wrong time of the race on entrance like that, because you don't know what the lap car is going to do or where he's going to go, and you can only place your race car in position into the corner, and you just can't move it to a different line. So we got a heavy battle back here. That's Meltman.
Yeah, we have Troy Hayes and Will Worsler. They were going at it, and now look at Tyler Sauvel. He's going in underneath Clarence Bonnell. That is a battle for the 10th position, I do believe, between that 99 and that 11. So two multiples of 11 there going at one another, and give that spot to Tyler Sauvel. He moves up into the 9th position. Clarence Bonner back to 10th. But here comes Andy Veltman. He's not. Oh, look at the 99. Clarence Bonner braked really late, diving off into turn number 1, and somehow he's able to corral that machine and keep it going straight, because he's going to have a great run down the back stretches. Here comes Andy Veltman. Great run by that number 97 machine. We've seen Andy Veltman here so far this year. He's currently running 10th in points. Just kind of been fairly consistent in that 97 to end up in that 10th position in points.
He made one big mistake right there to try to go after Sawville. He tried diving it in on entrance as Sawville was coming down on the track, and then he really had to back out of it. You never want to try to make a pass like that. It's going to cause you tons of momentum, and there was the results right there between the gap between Andy and Tyler, and right behind Andy Veltman is Clarence Bonner. Everybody kind of remaining single file at the moment. I am still looking for the race lead. It is separated by 0.3 of a second currently right now between Krobach and Mogart. Brad Cross is about 1.5 seconds from these two cats up towards the front, so nothing really happening in the top 2 positions. Looks like a little bit of a better run through with Michael Krobach coming off turn number 2. That just seems like that's his money corner where he's getting his runs on Mogart. Still separated by 0.3 of a second. The rest of the field is actually pretty stellar. There's one battle that's kind of brewing up right here between Will Worsler and Jamie Moore for 13th place as they caught Troy Hates, so it might be turned into a 3-car battle at the moment. Oh no, there goes. This is gonna spin.
What a save!
Still green flag. What a save!
Man, Jamie Moore was all sideways in that number 82. He's going to lose a ton of track position as he got the wall pretty hard, but he was 60 degrees sideways in that machine. And wow, what a save.
Someone's been doing dirt racing. I can tell.
Yeah. That's dirt racing and some more as here comes Tyler Sauvel and Tim Knott. I think, I wonder if Tim caught the wall this lap, because last lap he was quite a bit ahead of Alan Young. But Alan Young made that pass. As here's Michael Krobach. Oh, Krobach almost clipped the wall. Got a great run. Yeah, he just gave it a kiss. Just a few sparks, you know.
They were flirting with each other, and they decided to do one of them shy kisses, you know, the little tiny kiss.
Yeah.
Right here, Krobach's still hunting him down, though. I mean, you got to flirt with the wall here, man. That's where you're going to get your speed.
Yeah, you're definitely getting a run out of turn number 3.
That's where the acceleration is.
Yeah, if you can straighten out turn number 3, use up all that racetrack, you can get the best run possible. So I'm sure that's what he's thinking right now. As we had a battle brewing for the 4th position, and now here's the 5th position. Kelsey Rogers has dived underneath Alexander Pelican. And that number 35 machine, I think he's going to clear Pelican here in turn number 3, so move Kelsey Rogers up into the 5th position. I was actually thinking that Alexander Pelican has been closing in slowly but surely on Danny Rogers, but here comes Kelsey Rogers, kind of out from quite a bit back behind these two. He's now moved himself up into the 5th position, and now charging down Danny Rogers for 4th.
5 laps to go. This past time by, Mogard's leading. In second place is Michael Krobach by 7/10 of a second. That is the gap. The driver that's been on the move on these long runs, I've been seeing on more than one occasion here tonight, has been Kelsey Rogers in the 35 machine. Caution is out, and this might end the race.
It might just end this one. There's a big wreck in turn number 1. There is Kevin Mingus in the number 7. I saw a couple of others involved. There is the number 73. A tough break for Jonathan Holstein. He had a great race going. Oh, contact on entry into the... Cool, man.
Why was there contact? Why were they so close together like that just before the entrance? That seemed weird. Watch this.
Oh.
It was right there, it was separated, but here comes Holstein. He's going to come back up right here, get back in line. He's got this run. He's still really close to... Oh, he hit the wall. Hit the wall. Okay, that's what happened. The 7 just hit the wall, and it just bounced to the inside. That was a misjudge on the line on the straightaway there, but very unfortunate for that number 7 machine of Kevin Mingus. And this might end the race. Watch it again. Wall right there. Came down. Hit Holstein. Oh, Holstein took a whale of a hit. Thank God for safer barriers.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of when Jeff Gordon hit the inside wall with that angle that he pounded the wall. Yeah, Las Vegas, exactly. And, man, that was a heavy hit.
Las Vegas, and I believe he hit the wall really hard one time at Atlanta 2015.
So,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have 4 laps to go, and... I'm not 100% sure we'll get this thing restarted. I hope we do, because a 1-lap shootout, those are always exciting, and you could just come home with another last lap pass. So I'm sure Jared Mogard's would be happy to see the finish, because he'd take the win. I'm sure he doesn't want to be passed on the last lap again, like last week at Bristol Motor Speedway. And you know what? We've said it a couple times here tonight, but last week at Bristol Motor Speedway, there was a last lap pass by Will Worstler on Jared Mogard. And I just want to say that finished last week at Bristol Motor Speedway. If you did not watch that race, go back and check that one out, because those last 5 laps are absolutely crazy and some of the greatest laps I've ever seen at Bristol Motor Speedway. It was completely awesome, that finish last week, and hopefully we can get a good finish again this week if we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, it looks like it's highly unlikely. We just hit the 3 to go mark, and the pace car lights are still turned on. And there was just a lucky dog given to a driver, and that driver that just received the lucky dog was Evan Black. But we realistically would need 2 to green right here and have that 1-lap shootout, and it's just not going to happen, I don't believe. So as long as Mogard can keep that thing with that power turned on and under that 00 machine under the hood there, and just kind of pace this race, he will win this race. 3 out of the 4 races. Dominating performance so far this season. Great run for Michael Krobach this evening after starting 28th. And he's going to finish in 2nd place. But there's a couple drivers in that mix too that started around Krobach. Brad Cross, Danny Rogers all started 7th, 28th, and 29th together. And I tip my hat to Alexander Pelican, who's currently in 6th at the moment. He started 36th, and he is currently in 6th spot. So some drivers that started in the back waited out the big disasters and found themselves up there in the top 5 for a good points-paying day today at Pocono. And also keep in mind as well, if you like today's action, don't go away for more action, because next week is going to be Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, the Daytona, another 2.5-mile racetrack, but very, very different to Pocono.
Yes, it is.
You're plate racing.
You're plate racing. Everybody knows, if you're a NASCAR fan, you know what plate racing is all about. And usually track position, yes, it's key. You try to get up towards the front to place yourself in a position to win. You just need some drafting buddies to keep that outside line going the best you can. That's going to be 80 laps of action next week at Daytona. The Sackett and Brake Survey 200. Going to be a whale of a race right there, and really exciting if you like this one with the big accidents. Watch for the big one at Daytona if it happens. So it's going to be exciting for sure.
Yep, and as you can see, pace car lights are still on, so this race is all done and dusted as long as these drivers can make it back around another 5 miles here at Pocono Raceway, and Jared Mogard will go to victory lane for his 3rd time in the first 4 races of the season. That's absolutely crazy to say that. What a fantastic start to the season for that 00 and his team. And a tough break, though, for tonight for 2nd and 3rd place in points. Corey Silva, of course, getting involved in an accident. Evan Black getting involved in an accident. So those 2nd and 3rd place in points, definitely going to be a tough break for them tonight. In fact, Mitchell Brown didn't even start tonight. So definitely a couple of people right behind Mogard in points will be a little bit further back after this one.
Most definitely. This is going to be a crazy Daytona race next week, because Mogard, he's going to have a comfortable points lead entering Daytona. So realistically, he could say, you know what, I won 3 out of the 4 races. I can just enter Daytona next week and just take it easy, right in the back. I know it's not a lot of fun and all, but hey, maybe if they all wreck, I can put myself in position to win this, to win that race and go 4 out of the 5. Anything can happen at Daytona, even if you're road course racing there or oval racing there. It's going to be a chaotic event indeed as they come around off of turn 3 here to take the white flag.
Yep, and another key finisher here tonight, got to highlight, is Alan Young. Alan, of course, running up near the top in points. He's currently in the 5th position in points, and with Evan Black and Corey Silva having some tough nights, we might see Alan Young into 2nd place in points in that number 24 Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. He's just out of your picture here, but there he is in the center of your screen in that number 24 machine. So good start to the season for Mr. Young, and he kept his car nice and clean tonight. One of the few cars finishing without damage. Definitely seemed like that was a fairly important thing to do here tonight, but you know, we still have some finishers up in the top 5 with some fairly significant damage, like Kelsey Rogers, although it didn't seem like they quite had the pace to keep up with the number 00 of Jared Mogard and Michael Krobach there at the end.
Indeed, as they come down the back straightaway for the final time here tonight, Mogard is going to end up taking this checkered flag, and what a whale of a season for this young man who's driving this 00 machine. He's doing a whale of a job here on the sim of iRacing and in this series, this league in general. Michael Krobach, too, what a whale of a run for him, man. He needed this finish, realistically, even though a win probably would have been better. But he had a couple dismal starts to this race, to the season here, or dismal finishes. And now he's going to get Loud Pedal Motorsports at HPP Simulation, ZL1 Camaro, a 2nd place finish here tonight. Yeah,
definitely good finish for him. As you know, man, that 00 Jared Mogard, he has not been defeated with that black scheme, so I expect to see that back at Daytona. Personally, I have to be disappointed with myself. There was something I really wanted to say tonight. I had multiple opportunities to say it tonight. Drivers who remember NR 2003 days would know what I'm about to say, and that is, cars are everywhere in the Long Pond Straight. Man, it sounds like your spotter would say that. Doesn't matter what track you're at, sounds like your spotter would say that a lot.
Coming across his line, Jared Mogard gets his 3rd win of the season out of the 4 races that had a start here in the ASRS Cup Series. That is going to be the Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series. It's a great finish. Exactly. Production trucks saying, hey, that's a good average finish there. It is. Mogard gets it done once again and puts a good gap on the points lead as well, with Silva and Black having difficult days here today. So don't go away here, folks. The race may be over, but we're going to talk to the top 3 drivers, Mogard, Krobach, and Brad Cross. Especially Brad Cross and Krobach, because they finished 2nd and 3rd, but they've also started deep in the field and have minimal to no damage.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how their night went from their side of the wheel, because they did a great job keeping those things nice and clean and getting up near the front all night long.
Well, as soon as they get into the waiting room here, that on this channel here, we can pull them up and start talking to these guys. I know they're all trying to get settled down towards pit road, get out of their vehicles. After a long, kind of a dreadful race for some of these drivers here. I know Pocono, it can be under caution flag. It can sometimes be boring to a driver because these long straightaways, but usually you can land an airplane down this front straightaway And if there was an airplane coming down, it's going to hit Mogard and cross. But Mogard, as they clap high fives together for each other, I do believe those are teammates, if I'm not mistaken. I could be.
We'll see that number 00 burn them down for the third time this season, as we got some synchronized donuts here on the front stretch here at Pocono Raceway. It's always cool to see some synchronized donuts as the pace car is made its way down pit road to clear the way for Jared Mogard to get some good donuts in and burn down those rear tires.
Burn it down.
Got that flag band there in the center of the screen. We just missed him. Looks like he didn't look too excited.
I'm pretty excited for Daytona next week, but kind of waiting for some drivers here to show up in our thing for an interview. Danny Rogers has showed up. Let's talk to Danny Rogers here. Danny Rogers, 3Y TV, got a copy.
Yes, sir. How you doing, guys?
Doing all right. 4th place finish tonight, but it looked like before that final restart, it looked like you were struggling really bad. You were getting in on hard into the corners, and then you would back up the corner, but you would get the gas too early. It would allow you to make slight contact with the outside wall. It's been an up and down race for you today, but nonetheless, you came from 29th and you finished 4th. Either way, with a minimal damage car, that's pretty dang good. Tell me about your race.
Yeah, actually, I had to take an EOL from last week at Bristol. I had a horrible Bristol race last week. I got caught up in some wrecks, as you saw. So I came from 29, just kind of I already knew the game plan, take my time. And at the very end of the race, probably about 20 to go or halfway to go, I wanted to be about top 10, top 5. And I mean, look, I missed the big wreck they had, and I was leading the race.
Yeah, most definitely, man, and you were for sure. But this is the best finish you tied your best finish so far this season. How has your season been really for you, realistically here? I mean, you had some up and down races, but I think you have the car, you have the capabilities to keep it up front. You think that win's going to come soon here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just, I don't really have a whole lot of seat time in these Cup cars. I mostly run Xfinity cars or the trucks. So I'm still pretty much a rookie in these cars. So I'm just learning every race as we go.
Most definitely. And Danny, you talk about you mostly run the Xfinity cars, but we go to Daytona next week. And I'm pretty sure you have heard or you have experienced the drafting in them Cup cars is kind of dreadful at times. They don't draft as well as the Xfinity or the trucks do. What's your mindset going into Daytona, into a Cup car next week for the 5th race of the season?
Well, I think for one, you got to qualify good. I know a lot of guys, they have different strategies they want to do with plate racing. I'm not the kind of guy to qualify in the back and hang in the back. I mean, I think you just control your own fate. If you qualify good, keep her up front, keep her out of trouble, I don't see any problems with a good finish.
All right, Danny. It sounds like a good plan. You're just kind of playing it by ear just a little bit for Daytona, and there's nothing wrong with that. I tend to do the same thing for sure. Danny, congratulations on the top 5 position here tonight, 4th to be exact, and best of luck in Daytona next week. Keep up the good work here. It's still in the top 10 in points.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate the great service, guys. Thanks y'all for the broadcast.
That was Danny Rogers, who finishes 4th this evening, as we're going to go to 3rd place finisher, Brad Cross. Peter, you caught up with Brad.
Hey, Brad, this is Peter Short up in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, can you hear me?
10-4, and Brad, man, you had quite a whale of a night. You started all the way back in the 27th position, but you worked your way up through some strategy. You got yourself up into the top 5, and there you stayed. Tell us a little bit about your race.
It was definitely interesting, that's for sure. I honestly don't know what to say about it. It was definitely interesting. Like I say, just trying to buy my time. I didn't really get to practice a whole lot this week, and with the servers or whatever having a little issues yesterday, I don't think any of us got to for the normal weekly deal, but I just got in there and was just going to try and ride and bide my time. And when Mogard got a speeding penalty and come back there with us, me and him were on the same team, and he was kind of giving me a couple pointers there, and it actually worked out really well, and then we stayed out. under a caution there and got to the front of the field, and I felt good. The car felt good and felt comfortable, but there toward the end, after that last restart, even though it was only about, I don't know, I think 13 laps or so, it kind of started overheating a little bit, so I had to back off of it a little bit. But overall, it wasn't bad. I'll definitely take a third place finish at a track I didn't expect to even finish in the top 20 at.
Yeah, definitely Pocono can be one of those trickier tracks. We saw quite a few accidents tonight, a couple people spinning out. How was the car driving out there? It looked like it had a tendency to get pretty loose.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. I mean, at least for me anyways. I don't know how I made it through some of those wrecks, especially with two of them being right directly in front of me. Like I really don't know how to explain it, but I made it through. But I started downshifting in turn 1 when normally I was only doing it in turn 3, and it actually helped a little bit. But there was a couple times I would be coming out of the corner and shifting from 3rd to 4th, and it would break loose, and I'd have to put some dirt tracking skills to use.
Yeah, we definitely saw that out of a couple of drivers up there near the front. You, Danny Rogers, and the like. Definitely seemed like some pretty tricky conditions out there. And speaking of tricky conditions, next week at Daytona, you always end up in some form of tricky condition there. Do you like racing at the super speedways, or are they not your favorite? Because we head there next week.
I absolutely cannot wait. I mean, obviously, coming down to the end, there's always the really big chance of the big one happening. But I've got some really good teammates over here at Maxed Out Sim Racing Network, and we all seem to work pretty well together and draft pretty well together. So I'm definitely looking forward to next week.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Brad. You move up into the 8th position in points after tonight's 3rd place finish here at Pocono Raceway, and we'll see you next week here on 3 Wide TV.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting on a great show. I like going back and watching the races. You guys do an excellent job, and thanks to Jim and everybody for putting this league on. But just real quickly, we've got to give a shout out to Zach Bosnich. He's one of our team drivers here. He's out in California. He lost his dad last night, so we was all kind of racing with heavy hearts tonight, and we just want to let him know we're thinking about him and praying for him. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad. And I think Tanner Sharp, he's headed down there to pick up the 2nd place finisher, Michael Krobach.
I've caught up with 2nd place Michael Krobach, and Michael, what a crazy doodle of a race that you ran here tonight. You get a 2nd place finish. You had a chance on Mogard earlier, but it looks like a little iffy entrance into turn 3. You lost some momentum. Tell me all about that. And if the caution wouldn't have been able to come out and you raced to the end, would you have been able to catch Mogard?
Hey Tanner, it's good to see you, man. It's been a long time since I've been up here on the podium.
Hey, a long time no see, bud.
Yeah, I mean, our race got off to an interesting start because we had to start tailback around 28th because of an EOL penalty. We just got run over at Bristol last week, so had our work cut out for us, and I had never turned a lap on this track since it's been reconfigured. So I had no practice, and I needed to make a strategy call there, so we had a couple early yellows, and I thought I kind of shot myself in the foot by doing the pit strategy the second time around, but we ended up getting a couple yellows there again to bunch up the field, and it all worked out. And man, it was fun racing with Jared there in the 00, and we were just running each other's lines, and it was hard to gain any ground. He was running pretty good, and kind of blew turn 3 that one time, and I thought that was the end of it. But I gained some time again with shifting, and then the darn caution came out to end it. But it was a good run for our HPP simulation, clipping that Apex Chevy.
Man, you just said this was your first time out there here at the Repay Pocono, and Michael, I've known you, I've raced with you in the official iRacing races in the past, especially on the old Pocono service. What's the crazy differences here at this Pocono? Do you like this Repay Pocono, or do you prefer the older?
I like this new one a lot better. I mean, it has a lot more grip. You can run almost flat out in the tunnel turn if you back up the corner just enough. You can get the gas up pretty early on, and it's just a lot more fun. I like shifting. It's a lot more grip and a lot of different lines you can take to be fast still.
Absolutely. And Michael, you've had one top 5 finish this season. You come today to collect your second top 5 finish. It's been kind of an up and down season for you the last 2 races at Kentucky and Bristol, but it seems like you got it back on track with a strategy call. Next week is a whole different ball game. It's Daytona International Speedway, and I know you know that the Cup cars don't draft very well at them plate tracks. What's your mindset going into Daytona next week after carrying this momentum on a good points paying day?
I ran a race at Daytona last week. It was a charity race, and we started on pole, led the most laps, but got shuffled out at the end, so you definitely need the help there. And I'm hoping some more of my Loud Pedal Motorsports teammates show up. I was the only guy up in the hauler tonight, and didn't have any help out there, but hoping Yaz comes back next week, and we can get hooked up at Daytona and just qualify good, run up front, and don't be so generous. I'm a little bit too kind on the super speedway sometimes, and I just gotta keep it to the yellow line and go to the front.
I just wonder what's going to happen when it comes down between you and Brian on the last lap coming off the corner of Daytona, turn 4. You guys are side by side. You guys going to beat some fenders or something? Because that would be a whale of a good finish between 2 teammates.
I mean, Mr. Yazik's nickname is Spin-Off 4, so you never know what'll happen.
Yeah, definitely. Well, best of luck at Daytona next week. Great job here tonight overall here at Pocono, especially on your first outing, and good points paying day. Congratulations, Michael, on a second place finish.
Thanks, Tanner. Just got to thank all my sponsors for sticking with us through the ups and downs, and looking forward to putting HPP in victory lane soon.
All right, you heard the man. That's Michael Krobach. He wants to put this HPP simulation in the victory lane one of these races. He finishes second place tonight, though, hoping to capture a victory in Daytona next week. Now, down in victory lane is Jared Mogard and Peter Short.
And here we are with the winner for the 3rd time here this year in the ASRS SMS Cup Series, Jared Mogard. And Jared, my goodness, tonight was a little bit of a yo-yo. You started in the 2nd position. You got well back in the pack, but you made a strategy call to get yourself back up to the front. You're ahead of all those accidents. Tell us a little bit about your night and your run to the checkered flag.
Yeah, it started out kind of surprising. They're finishing or qualifying 2nd, and I got a little too excited there trying to race Mitch Brown off the pit road and got ourselves a speeding penalty. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to miss the 2 big wrecks. We came close to stuffing it into a couple of cars there in both of them incidences, but we're able to get through that and made a strategy call. Me and my teammate Brad did, and got back out front, and it all kind of worked out there. So worked out pretty good.
Yeah, Jared, we watched you under one of those accidents, and there was a car completely stopped sideways out of turn number 2, and you had to make a last-second move to avoid that car, but you kept that car clean. How important do you think it was that you kept your car clean all night? Because a lot of people got damage.
Yeah, that car kept coming up, and I'm like, oh crap, we're running out of room here. The wall's coming up, but got lucky there. Yeah, them tracks in Indy, and obviously the plate tracks and stuff, you want to try and keep it as clean as you can, because if you get the wall just enough to kind of crinkle the fender or whatever, it's usually worth a 235 mile an hour. So if you can keep the car clean and keep the fenders clean for the most part, you won't have to worry about being down a little bit of speed or anything. So I think that definitely was an advantage for sure.
So one thing that we also got to see on the 3-wide TV broadcast was there was a couple laps to go. It looks like Krobach got a great run coming out of turn number 3, and you two both, looks like you almost made contact going off into turn number 1. What happened from your perspective there?
Yeah, he got a good run, and he went to the inside there, and I drove it in a little bit hard, but I was trying to keep it in the groove. That groove is so narrow, if you miss it, you're just pushed right up to the wall there. And I drove it in, and it looked like I don't think he backed out. I think it was just me driving it in a little hard, and it turned a little bit better than I thought it was gonna, and I came down, and yeah, I almost made contact with him. Luckily we didn't, but yeah, it was just him running the bottom like he was, and I knew he was down there, and I was trying to drive it in a little bit harder to get down in front of him, and it just turned a little bit more than I thought it was gonna. I had to correct that to keep from spinning myself off of his right front.
Alrighty, well, you're able to keep that number 00 out front, get your third win of the year. But next week, of course, is the Daytona International Speedway plate racing, high speed, another 2.5-mile race, but a completely different type of race than this one. Are you looking forward to the plate race, or are you a bit hesitant to go there next week?
Well, I think the last 3 weeks I've told you I've not been looking forward to the next week, and I've managed to finish in the top 2. So we're going to go with that. I'm really not looking forward to it. It's a love-hate relationship with plate racing, but I got some of the best teammates out there, so we'll figure out a plan and see where we can end up. Just got to win directs and be there at the end, and it's anybody's game. You're either going to make it or you're not. You could roll the dice or flip a coin, and you have about as good a shot at deciding whether or not you're going to finish there.
Alrighty, before we let you go, I'm sure you got some shout-outs for us.
Yeah, this team has been racing with heavy hearts tonight. Our teammate, Zach Bosnich, lost his father last night. Tim, just kind of unexpected and out of the blue. So, Zach, I don't know if you're watching, bud, but we're thinking of you and your family, and wish you guys the best. And know that we're here for you and we're pulling for you. So we were racing with heavy hearts tonight. Really wanted to get it done, and we were fortunate enough to run 1 and 3. So we're thinking about them for sure. Got to give a shout out to the Wagamans. I'm not sure if they're watching again tonight or not, but if they are, Clayton, he messaged me earlier. He said good luck, and I said we ain't gonna win. I don't like the track, and here we are. So maybe he needs to keep doing that every week. And then just got to thank my sponsors: iBuyPower Computers, TDS Internet, Coffman Racing Graphics, Twitchy Race Reports, and of course MOSRN and the boys over there. We'll try and keep it rolling next week at Daytona.
Alrighty, well, Jared Mogard came in here tonight as the points leader, and he'll leave this race with a fairly insurmountable 40-point lead in points. Thank you for joining us here tonight, Jared, and congratulations on your third win this season.
Yep, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Tanner. It was an absolute spectacular race once again here at the Pocono Raceway in the ASRS Sim Marketing Solutions Cup Series. Let's take him through the finishing order. Yeah. Your race winner is Jared Mogard. Finishing in second is Michael Krobach. Third is Brad Cross. Fourth was Danny Rogers. Fifth was Kelsey Rogers in that number 35 machine. Alexander Pelican, another good finish for that number 16. Alan Young came home 24th. He is moving ever so closely to the second and third place in points. Tyler Saville comes home 8th. Tim Knott 9th. Andy Veltman rounds out your top 10.
In 11th place, Clarence Bonner coulda, woulda, shoulda got a top 10 here tonight, but he's got to settle the 11th place finish. Will Worsler just could not been able to get in the top 10 here this evening. Struggled all race long. Will have to finish in 12th. Troy Hay in 13th. Richard Stallings in 14th. Sam Maxwell is going to finish in 15th. Jim Foose, league organizer, is going to finish in the 16th spot. Brandon Stokes, after starting in the third position, finishes in 17th. Robbie Baskins finishes in 18th. Jimmy McKee is going to finish 19th, and rounding out the top 20 is Jared Haggerty.
In the 21st position, we had Edward Bray, followed by Jamie Moore, who had a good race going in that number 82, but dropped a few spots towards the end. Jonathan Holstein finishes 23rd. Kevin Mingus finished 24th with a very beaten-up machine. Evan Black, 25th. He got the lucky dog right there at the end in his primetime racing machine. Corey Silva was the first car at one lap down. And the 26th position, Alex Geese had a lot of damage in that number 27. We saw him spinning down pit road. He finishes 3 laps off the pace. Jason Stewart had a blown motor at one point. He brings that number 1 machine in the 28th position. Mitch Brown finishes in 29th, 8 laps down. And Chris Titus rounds out your top 30.
31st position, Kevin Sargent and Travis Rucker, 32nd. 33rd, Jack Wells. Brian Kreutz, 34th. 35th, Joe Burchett after starting 4th, and Chris Forrester finishes in 36th, and that was the 36-car field that started tonight's event. The other 3 drivers were go home drivers. So with that being said, we got a couple of thank yous to give out. First off, the league organizers of the ASRS Sim Racing League. Thank you for putting on such great events, and its drivers for putting on the event. Doing some great racing out there every single race. The series sponsor, Sim Marketing Solutions of the Cup Series. Thank you for sponsoring the series. Hopefully we see on board for future years to come, as well as Sam Maxwell Customs, Driven Designs, iRacing, Twitchy Race Reports, iRacingiFlag, Kirkwood Transportation, and Coffman Racing Graphics. Check all those guys out for sure. We thank them for sponsoring the ASRS Racing League. And as well, thanks to the team this evening, Peter and Carlos. That's the 3Y team here tonight. Thank you very much. You guys do an awesome job every single week there, Peter. And final thoughts of Pocono before we go to Daytona.
Well, yeah, it's a good race. Very tricky track. We got to see it bite a few people, but then we got to see Jared Mogard conquer the tricky triangle and get his third win this season. Absolute stellar start to the year for him.
Absolutely. And before we let everybody go, I want to say everybody that's currently practically within the Midwest region of the United States, please stay warm. It's nasty weather out there. There's temperatures but right now I'm currently at minus 10 and it's negative 30, and tomorrow it's going to be even worse for with the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa area, Illinois. Please stay warm, stay safe. Don't go out if you have to. So I'm Tanner Sharp, Peter Short, Carlos Acosta. Thank you for watching. We will see you guys next week, same time, same place, for 80 laps of action of the Daytona International Speedway. Take care, everybody.